رئيس الجامعة، السفير.
Roundtable, Governance for Smart Societies, Policy, Trust, and Urban Data. We are honored to have distinguished leaders and experts with us today, and I look forward to a rich discussions that brings together policy, technology, ethics, and national capacity. To open the session, I would like to invite Dr. Ahmed Al-Ansari, President of Qatar University, to share his remarks.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome our guests for this roundtable discussion. This looks like a very interesting subject or topic that we're going to discuss and delve in today. Usually I tend to say this all the time when it comes to dealing with such issues at other university. We happen to be there everywhere with such issues when it comes to smart societies. We take this from different perspectives, whether it's the societal part or the policy part or the architect part or the legal part. We happen to have different colleges and departments in every one of these areas. So these are all important topics and issues that we need to tackle from different perspectives. There are a lot of things to say about the smartness these days. With AI, it's even becoming more challenging. Everything is becoming smart. Societies are becoming smart. Cities are becoming smart. Universities are becoming smart. Everything is becoming smart. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. I guess I would like to utilize and use the presence of our guests here, and I would like to allow as much time as possible for our honored guests to contribute and participate in this round table discussion. And I would be very interested to listen and to hear what they have to say about this idea of smart societies from different perspectives, whether it's policy or architects or legal or ethics and so on and so forth. I will stop at this point and will give the mic back to my colleague, Dr. Stefan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you for setting the tone for today's conversation and highlighting the importance of the smart cities, highlighting the importance of the drastic transformation for our new era for cities, for universities, for all of us. We will start the discussion highlighting some points on the real estate sectors. Your Excellency, Dr. Khalid al-Abaidi, I would like to ask you, there are two questions mainly. The first one, how is Qatar strategically embedding AI and digital transformation to reshape the real estate sectors? And also, the second part of the question, what role does technology play in enhancing investor journey?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I'm very pleased to be among you this morning, and thank you, Dr. Anwar, for the invitation. It's a very important topic, and to discuss it today in terms of moving towards sustainable future, which is part of our NDS3 vision. If you look at all the speeches of His Highness, the Amir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, whereby we are discussing sustainability and human part of it as well, to be part of this sustainability. Family is very important, and readiness for the future. Plus, if you look at the NDS 4 pillars based on human development, social development, economical development, and environmental development. To reach all of that, definitely you need technology and AI to be part of that. Yet, it has to be governed with strong governance and policies in terms of regulations and making sure that it is fit for purpose as well. And this is exactly what we are trying to do in the other real estate authority, whereby we are laying the foundations for a strong real estate sector, utilizing our technology investments, which the government already invested in the infrastructure. If you look at, for example, the usage of internet, it's almost 100%. In Qatar, if you listen to yesterday's opening remarks, you see the 5G in the whole GCC countries is leading in the world. Having the MWC in Qatar is just a proof of that this nation or this country and the region is the future for the smart cities. Plus all of the infrastructure that Qatar built and the image that we are trying to export is in line with smart cities, but also not forgetting the development of the humans who will lead these smart cities as well. You also mentioned the investor journey as part of having the digital platform to ensure that the investor journey or anybody dealing with the real estate sector have like a very smooth one-stop shop journey, that it will be user-friendly. We have to simplify the processes utilizing the technology, and this is exactly what we are doing. I can go on and on, but I would like to leave the floor for other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. You are highlighting the regulation, you are highlighting the what Qatar is doing now regarding the regarding the AI transformation and digital transformation. Moving from a local to international perspective, Your Excellency, what is one lesson Qatar can take from Japan's trusted approach to smart city governance?
Okay, thank you. It's my great pleasure and honor for me to take part in this roundtable. Dr. Ansari, thank you very much. It's my pleasure every time I see you and have a very academic and smart hearing every time. And thank you, Dr. Kali, I'm pronouncing correctly, and all participants. Well, Japan is advancing the policy of smart city both at the national and in the case of Japan, many local government level. And not saying that Japan is so advanced that we can give some lessons because it's just started with many steps, and Japan itself is having many trials and not so much many errors, but everything so new that all the endeavors and the measures are in a sense not based on something we tried before. So, but some of the lessons we have had so far in Japan, I'm not going to say this is a lesson to Qatar, but I'm saying this just a lesson that we Japanese learned from ourselves. It is importance of coordination among the each stakeholders and parties concerned, because there are so many players and participants related to it. In the case of Japan, first, it was apparent between different ministries of the government, like Ministry of Economy and Trade, Ministry of Education, Ministry in charge of Science, Ministry of Transport, and so on, so on, so on, so on. And at this moment, the one Japanese government authority, which is called Cabinet Office, is in a driver's seat, as it were, and coordinate all measures taken by each ministry and the authority of the government to coordinate as much as possible. I myself once belonged to the Cabinet Office, not in the department in charge of smart city, different departments, but because of that, I understand how the Cabinet Office coordinates among each ministry and the other authority. Maybe one of the necessity of coordinating the different bodies is how to deal with the, for example, personal data, individual data gathered by each ministry. And it is important to share the common standard or understanding how to deal with the individual and personal, private data gathered by each ministry in order to promote smart city measures. So that is again a lesson we learned through our efforts. So that's my example I would like to introduce to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. So we can say that two keywords that we can learn from, can Qatar learn. Coordination is so important between different ministries. Also data collection that enhance and strengthen the use of smart cities and AI transformation. Moving back to local, from international to local, Ms. Fatma Al-Kuwari, my question to you is, how can we ensure digital inclusion for at-risk or low digital literacy communities? How can we ensure that there's inclusion and fair for all of these parties?
Thank you very much, my beloved university, for including me in this amazing session. As you rightfully say, making sure that the systems, the policies, the governance we put in place is actually inclusive. It does not neglect any segment in the society. We don't oversight vulnerable parts of the society, the older generation, youth, women, people with lower income sometimes. So we ensure to put policies in place that ensure that digital literacy inclusiveness in the systems holistically, and also removing biases in these data. When we set AI models, for example, as you know, urban cities that are smart use a lot of data, massive data is used, and the use of AI will definitely be part of it. So we need to ensure there is human oversight, there is transparency, and fair usage of that data holistically. And the importance of the workforce training and upskilling holistically to ensure that the workforce that will be enabling these systems are also up to date when it comes to technology advancement, and ensure they have access to the latest data, and ensure that this governance is always human-centered first, not technology benefiting.
So the policy that you regulate and discussed was discussed with other collaborators, with other ministries, with other, or just it was in usually
when any policy is set or any governance is set, it's set by the government and the regulators, and it includes three parts of the society: private sector, public sector, and academia as well. And then there's also a voice for the community holistically. And what I love about the Japanese approach actually, that their governance system is based on a very clear policy, human-centered, and service first. That's something I really appreciate about the Japanese model of urban cities and smart society, because it also ensures the inclusion of the end user at the center of the policy.
Thank you, Ms. Fatima. Thank you. We will, from skills inclusion to research leadership, with Professor Ayman Arbit. My question to you is, what is the most important role universities should play in national AI and smart city governance frameworks?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabah. So I think the role of the university is to champion these critical areas and to have this thought leadership. So in other university, we take this through multiple routes. So in our research priorities, we have smart cities as part of the priorities that the university work on as part of the ICT package. We also look at different technologies used in smart cities like cybersecurity, communication, edge computing, and all these robotic systems as part of also our priority. But we also don't neglect the social aspect, because that's also very critical. So digital society, how humans can absorb this technology, deal with it, how our researchers from social science perspective can have an opinion about what technologies are feasible, how they can help society rather than destroy it. So this is very critical for university. Another thing is that the university has a good position to have evidence-based deployment or evidence-based information, because if you work with different suppliers of technology, and I'm a technologist myself, I will always come to you with an argument of why you should adopt this technology. I will always come with you with a certain piece of information and very systematic data analysis trying to convince you why this technology should work. But universities, being not-for-profits, have a good position to be there, test, work together with stakeholders to ensure that whatever policy we take, whatever technology we adopt, this is something that is evidence-based and studied from different angles. And this is what universities are good about, because they have people who have expertise in different areas of knowledge. The last part, maybe, and I'll stop there, is the idea of having test beds, national test beds.
Framework as well.
Framework. So the universities can be a place where you can be either having the university as a test bed, physically as a smart city test bed, and we tried few experiments with our mobility center, Qatar Mobility Innovation Center, to test some of our own technology there, or be open to bring other software and other frameworks that people develop, test it in the university, allow our students to be part of the discussion, be part of, as Fatima said, allowing more and more people to test and deploy and be part of the conversation. That will allow society and the universities at the center to play a part in this.
Thank you, Dr. Ayman Albert. We are honestly proud to hear that it is one of the Qatar University priorities to focus on digital transformation, integrating AI and technology, considering also human resources and considering also the human ethics. That I will come to this question with different participants, inshallah. I will move now from research to technology with Dr. Mohammed Sada. My question is, how can industry and society find principles guide the responsible governance of urban data to build trust in a smart society? But before you explain about Society 5, we would like to know briefly what is Society 4. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much. And basically, Society 5.0 is a term has been presented by the Japanese cabinet to present an analysis of society development and its interrelationship between the society and people and technology. So they define like the first society 1.0 is the hunter-gatherer society that used basic technologies for hunting. Second society is basically agricultural society, creating some tools, humanity settling down in cities. The third society is the industrial, basically a society that used mass production capabilities to produce equipments and technologies. Society 4 is probably where most of us are very familiar with. It's the internet age. It's the interconnectivity society. Technology is connecting people, connecting machines, social media, etc. But Society 5.0 is the combination of many technologies affecting the human, including super intelligent systems, embodied intelligence systems, for example, robotics, automation systems, autonomous vehicles. And how will this affect our life? This is yet to be defined. In parallel with the society, of course, there is an industrial revolution, right? So they define Industry 4.0, which is a convergence of many technologies, including AI, for the industry to decrease cost and decrease effort and increase efficiency. The Industry 5.0 is similar to Society 5.0, so it's the next leap in the industry itself, using the latest technologies. So now, based on this definition, it's very important to know that Industry 5.0, Society 5.0, and many of the technologies being developed are mainly human-centered. So the human is at the center of these technologies. You can see now, for example, many of the AI systems are forward to us as users to use on a daily basis, and it's affecting us and we're using them. So imagine in the next 10 to 15 years, this will be levels in implementation that we cannot probably understand yet. So the roles of AI and these technologies that will play in our daily lives, it will be huge. So that's why it's very important to establish these standards and frameworks. Yes, the principles to guide this technology and ensure its fair use and just use, especially for the data. Because these AI systems will gather massive amounts of data from the users to learn, adapt, and do many different things to serve the user. For example, autonomous vehicles, they have a lot of cameras, they go around the city, they gather a lot of data. So what's being done with this data? For now, we don't know. Each probably country or company has its own regulations, but maybe perhaps it's still driven by the companies. So that's why it's very important to develop the legal frameworks in each probably nation to guide the users' data and maintain privacy of these data. I would say this is the biggest challenge. The other aspect is the importance of co-creation of these technologies. So I think many of our esteemed guests have highlighted that it's important to include end users and to coordinate with many entities to ensure the greater benefit of the human or the citizens. So co-creation is a key factor in creating these technologies and to guide these technologies to the future, towards Society 5.0 and towards Industry 5.0. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad. Please feel free to interrupt, to say any comments. We do want it to be very systematic. Moving to Mr. Omar. Mr. Omar, I have one question for you. How can regulatory sandbox make it easier for startups to test smart city solutions?
First of all, thank you. I'm really humbled to be with all of you. I come from maybe a different background. We are the builders, so I'm coming from a builder mindset. Time is absolutely everything for us. So let me tell you something before I answer the question. That I've been working in AI since before it was cool, 2018, and we have witnessed a restart. In 2022, we have witnessed an absolute world restart. That everyone, every government, every society have to reinvent themselves. And let me tell you a very quick number, that the development progress speed, we have an order of magnitude of 10x, which means before 2022, the world was getting developed. Around one point, according to Moore's law, we were, technology advancements was double every year and a half. And after 2022, the technology innovation is doubling 10x per year. That's If you want to imagine it, we were driving bicycles, and suddenly the next day we were driving Bugatti at 400 kilometers per hour. This is the exact difference. And we're still living in the absolute dark age of AI, that this speed is absolutely slow compared with what's happening once we have better compute and better energy. So going to the answer of the question is, we are trying now, whoever will win, if it's a nation, if it's an entity or whatever, is how to make the rabbit talk to the elephant and make progress together. The rabbits are the startups and the technology innovators, and the elephants are, whether it's the governmental institutions or the big institutions. How to do that is the regulatory sandboxes. Regulatory sandboxes basically is the translator between the entrepreneurs and the technology developers and the governmental institutions. And in order to do that, it's not just regulatory. It has to, the people in this sandbox has to understand and become, they have to be entrepreneurs already that develop into managing multiple people, because every one of them has their own regulations. But this curve, whoever will win in this curve, I wish to like send this curve, but it's a curve of 3 curves inside, an exponential curve of the technology development, just like that, and then another curve which is less, which is the people implementation and the society implementation of the AI, and the last one is absolute linear, which is the government. Whoever will fit between those 3 curves will absolutely win. So just to finalize my words, the regulatory frameworks in each single industry, not only on the government level, but each single industry has to absolutely change. Chief AI officers or AI experts has to be in every single institution, has to be in every single representative from each department of the government, so they can understand the AI and then understand the data and build even data environment, testing data environment, because there's a huge problem when an AI startup is trying to work with the government, that we can't just get access to the data and we don't even have testing environment data to test with. Thank you.
It's very interesting, the speed of technology and especially AI. I remember one definition a long time ago, they say the illiterate people, the one who can't read and write, and then in 20s, the illiterate people who they do know technology, and now we are changing the term again, the term definition again and again. We can't stop there. Thank you so much. Now we will move to the next phase, and please, I would like just you to discuss and interfere to each other discussion. Moving to international, okay? How does Japan balance open innovation with strict data privacy regulations?
Yes, thank you. Just as I mentioned before, it is indispensable to protect the personal data, personal information, and in case of Japan, the fundamental approach is collected personal data must be restricted to specific use purposes of use with the sufficient consensus in advance. And as Ms. Clary mentioned, and as Ms. Alsada mentioned, it can be said, in other words, a human-centered approach. And in, again, other words, it is an approach which will not allow technology to let loose without control of human beings. So the technologies related to the AI is so growing rapidly, and it is possible that it will go uncontrollable in a sense. And therefore, it is another challenge for many or every parties involved in the smart cities concept as sorry, I forgot.
Omar.
Yeah, Omar just mentioned what the engagement of government and what the engagement of the private sector, actually the balance between the two, and the role of one of the roles of the government is to set the regulations, set the standards, set the limit of what is allowed and what is not allowed beyond that point. So that is probably what Japan is struggling to come up with. What's the best balance between the roles of the private and public of government, or what's the possibility of limitless growth of technology? Should there be any limit? And probably there should be some limit of over the uncontrolled growth of technology.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. It is interesting that collecting data, that will make a difference in any society. Imagine our society is a very strict society, which is so difficult to collect data, especially for individuals. That's why I think we are still a little bit
If we talk about urban data, we have to understand what is urban data.
Yeah.
It's people's lives, people's movement,
Yes.
their choices, what they do, what they don't do, how they move around during their daily lives. So I think how to build trust. When you talk about data, it goes along with trust. Trust builds on transparency. Citizens need to understand what data is collected, why is it collected, and how will it make their lives better. And that's the main focus and foundation. This data is used to make better human choices and better human experience, not the other way around. So that's again a foundational transparency when we build urban cities that are smart, to ensure there is enough transparency and trust in the system for people to be able to actually trust that system and utilize it fully.
It's a very interesting question, and there is a dilemma about this question. Who should say what is better for me? The government or me? That is a very difficult question to say. Go ahead.
I always say, please never let technologists like us build your world, because this is really bad. Us, we think completely different. We just want to build technology and we're doing it for fun. I remember if Mark Zuckerberg had a psychologist with him as a co-founder, we wouldn't have destroyed the society with social media like that. So in the AI, every single one of you, every one of the leaders, they have accumulated amazing experience across years, and they need to learn AI from their perspective in order to think from their perspective how this technology is being built. Our role is just builders. As a technologist, I always think we can't just decide building what products. We are just builders, and every single domain expert in their domain has to decide what data, how this product is being built. But unfortunately, if you did not study that quick, if you did not did the effort to know more, unfortunately, some technologists will build the solution instead of you, and we both will lose eventually from a society perspective.
Yes, Muhammad.
Yeah, I think our esteemed guests had they mentioned many important points, and this discussion reminds me of one point actually that comes from academia. In some research domains, there has been several workshops which I was part of about something called data curation. And data curation is basically the collection and the usability of data and maintaining data when used for training artificial intelligence systems. So these kind of workshops try to understand the best practices from an ethical standpoint, from the technical standpoint, from privacy standpoint, from transparency standpoint. There are so many perspectives and dimensions of this problem. And these workshops, when I attended them, there is no actual framework whatsoever. Every field and every company has its own practices. And, I think we have better guests to say, I think, what's good for, like, as an output of this, but probably there's some kind of huge framework, or at least some guidelines for data curation for these kind of future systems, and which guides the companies or enterprises or the government institutes from collecting the data and getting the consents from the users to saving the data after the training and how to use it and maintaining it for long-term, basically, usage. So after, for example, training, you need to save the data or destroy it. We don't know. Each company has its own practices. So I think it would be very, very beneficial to look at data curation methods, basically, and practices.
Since we still talk about human interaction and regulation, I will move to Your Excellency. And the question is, how do we balance technology and smart cities with human interaction?
Thank you, Doctor. I would like just to comment on some of the discussion points. Like, I do agree with that today, as a government entities, we are always looking forward to partnership with the private sector.
Yes.
And we are ready to hand over those tasks once the private sector is ready, proven technology, and we agree with, put 10 lines under the readiness of the private sector to take over, and us as a regulator to step back and regulate really, and just make sure the governance are correct. This is our intention. Sometimes we face the problem of not finding the right infrastructure or partners in the private sector. So this will be an obstacle. That's why you will see some of the government entities assuming the role of operation and collecting the data and doing all of that themselves. And we do have a national entity to collect the data for the state of Qatar. And for us, we have connectivity in terms of integrating with all the governmental bodies to connect, for example, the real estate data that we are publishing in our website. So we do have, utilizing now the technology from an AI agent. If you enter and enter our website, you'll find an agent to help you. You will find, for example, the interactive map, which will direct you to where the licensed projects and approved projects available. You will find digital platform, all of the transaction happening live. You will find it. And this is now, we do have this one live on our data. It will be moving towards the private sector once the private sector, after testing the sandbox, which we are doing, for example, in tokenization and a blockchain, which is new in real estate, which you could buy a fraction of an apartment, and it is done in our neighboring countries, but also under a sandbox. So once the sandbox technology is proven, it will be regulated fully and everybody can do it under those regulations. So we are doing the sandbox, regulating that, we are ensuring the data are correct, and we are testing the private sector as well to make sure they are ready to hand over those tasks to the private sector. So just to comment on those. You asked a very important question about the human interaction and, again, as for the state of Qatar, for our from our leaders and our constitution as well. We are very proud of our religion, very proud of our culture, and those are the basic guidelines for us. Everything has to fit with those guidelines, and when you look at the religion, standards, and you will see the family is the center of that. And us, as, for example, children, we will be in debt always for our parents, no matter what happens. And this will be a fact forever. And our children, we have to take care of them always. Those foundations, those fundamentals are always there. How can we make, this formula work with AI and technology and making sure it doesn't drive us from those foundations? This is a challenge. Setting the right policies. For example, I was discussing offline with Dr. Umar. Our generation and the previous generation used to have a different social life as a kids as well.
Yes.
And this is, you see it fading away little by little with technology, which really we don't like in a way. We need to make sure that the families are again united, and because this is the foundation of any society. By having the right standards and the right regulation to ensure that it doesn't take us away from our human nature, yet capitalizing and utilizing the technology to make sure that the non-essential tasks that it can be done in seconds should be done in seconds and not done in days or months. This should be the norm for regular transaction. Unnecessary visits to any of the government agency follow-ups and come tomorrow can be replaced by an app whereby you could finish your transaction like we do have it currently in Qatar and a lot of governmental agency, for example, Matrash, when it came out, made all of our life easier, even for the people working around you, buying, selling cars, exiting for staff, and so on. You do it instead of wasting a lot of time. But hopefully this time saving should be utilized in a quality time, either for more productive work or family time. And I think we should always put a human-centric approach to any development. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree. Balancing between culture and religion and our identity as Qatari society, it wouldn't be easy without again regulation, without research, without having a framework that highlights the key practice and highlight the principles of collecting the data.
And the social fabric is very important for any nation. If I go to Japan, I would like to see what is Japan all about.
Yes.
If they come to Qatar, they need to see this is Qatar, who we are.
Yes.
And this should not be replaced by technology. In any nation, when I go to China, to Japan, to US, each country has its own uniqueness. And technology cannot replace and will not replace.
It will not replace, but again, that is the dilemma I'm talking about and the problems between the speed that Mr. Omar talked about, the speed, and also the keeping our culture and identity. We are a little bit hesitant. We hesitate to go forward, or no, we want to keep still our identity. And also the companies, they can do nothing without the data collection that they can get. I'll go back to research with Dr. Ayman Erbil, just to highlight this issue as well. How can universities better prepare talent for AI regulation, cybersecurity, and data governance?
Just to reflect a little bit on the discussion we had so far, I think in this region we have a big challenge in terms of research related to social science and humanities. If we are talking from a research perspective, our society, and we discussed this a lot with Dr. Ammar, needs to understand itself better. And this really is not happening now at the capacity that we would like. Just because very simple things like statistics about divorce, statistics about social connections, statistics about family issues, how we work with our young, with our elders. There is still limited sharing of data across government entity, and definitely much more limited between government entity and research entity. So in order for us to think about society and working to keep those relations and maintain them, deal with the speed, first of all, we need to even understand our societal issues. We need to understand what happened in the last 50 years since people started to use more technology, since people started to have this individualistic approach which came to us from just the Industrial Revolution in the West. So this is very critical for a society built on tradition, built on strong values, having to deal with this modernity. So we have to work from social science first, and then project automation technology into it in order for us to be able to move forward. So going back to your question, what I would like to say for universities, in order to be a participant in these critical areas like AI ethics, regulation, all the other technologies and how it affects society in this human-centered approach, we need to cater for this need. We need to have these programs that are interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. We need to be able as a lawyer, for example, I have to be aware a little bit about AI. I have to be aware about how AI affects the social fabric. As the social scientist doing, for example, family work, I have to know also AI. I have to also know a little bit about legal. So within each discipline, we have to increase the interdisciplinarity to bring those connections, especially for technologists. I totally agree. We should not allow them to decide where we go, but they do, and they will continue to do. So we cannot do anything about it. If we had a choice, we would choose otherwise. So if we believe this is happening, we have to really make sure these technical fields like computer science, engineering, AI, these fields have embedded in it some social science, some legal, and we have these very much. We have research as the best place maybe to bring interdisciplinary teams in research projects and interdisciplinary work experiences, or so these parts that maybe are part of the curriculum but maybe sometimes are a little bit extra. So in these areas we can bring people from different disciplines, we can teach them how to work together to solve society problems in a comprehensive and collective way. And another thing is to see how we can bring to the workforce people who already left the university. How can we do lifelong learning? How can people from different disciplines know about AI and bring them in the university in design, specialized courses, customized to bring up the society at large to the problems? Because people who will make decisions are not in universities now. So if we are not ensuring that universities and capacity building programs, even outside the university, are bringing decision makers, like people in this room, in the table to discuss and maybe to upskill them continuously, that will also allow us to have much more. I have other things to say, but maybe I will hear now what my colleagues.
We can say we need to put together two things. Human and social science research with technology as well. They have to go together to make it very useful for the people, considering again their culture, their boundaries, considering our identity, and preparing the workforce. To go to how to prepare the workforce, I'll ask Ms. Fatma Kuwari, what HR policies are needed to prepare the workforce for AI-enabled public services?
I think upskilling and reskilling is no longer an option. We live in a very advanced world that technology is advancing as we go exponentially in terms of how technology is used. And I think the reskilling and rethinking is not only limited to workforce. I think it has to go to educational systems from primary education as well. Because if you think about, if I talk about security and cybersecurity, most of the fraud cases that currently happen are human mistakes. They click a link or they give the OTP, regardless of how much awareness we do, banks do, government does. Still, the end user is the weakest link. And we see a lot of human impact in terms of financial and non-financial. So I think it has to go in three different pillars. One is the educational system itself. There has to be core disciplines in schools that teach our kids, the future generation, the responsible use of technology and AI. There has to be, again, a pillar that is very important, the foundation of families. Families today, what are the roles family play to actually protect their children while using their technology and update their own skill sets when it comes to technology. So we bridge that generational gap in technology. And then as students graduate from university, enter the workforce, regardless of the discipline they're in, there is a basic foundational AI education that has to be there. At Origo specifically, we do it across our footprints in the group with Origo Learning Academy. So we have a standard foundational AI and tech discipline that every employee, regardless of their level, regardless of their function, goes through, as well as focus disciplines. So for lawyers, there's a specific programs and use cases for functional use. The same for HR, the same for technology, the same for finance. But it's also a movement, so it has to go hand in hand through education, through the society and the families, and through the workforce and organizations personally.
Again, education always the main.
If AI and what Fatma was saying can solve this problem of lost calls received by everybody, that will be a great solution. Instead of us checking is this true or not, whether from my bank, whether from anybody, if this technology can eliminate this from getting it to the end user, that will be really a win-win situation, I think.
OTP specifically getting the code, we're actually working with the ministry right now and the regulator to ensure it's silent configuration and reconciliation, so there's no message that comes to the user, neither on SMS and neither on WhatsApp. The device and the network confirm that this is the user and the transaction goes through. This will eliminate still part of it. We can never eliminate. The nice use of AI actually for
They
fraud
are always
callers.
having way to go
People are very smart, mashallah, and they're always finding a way. But there's a very smart AI actual use case in the UK where they've developed an elderly woman AI persona that picks up the calls from the fraudulent callers and spends 45 minutes just wasting their time. So that, that's what one use case, but still we need the next, yes?
Part of the cybersecurity, I remember two stories that happened to me. 2.5 years ago, I was in Viva Tech in France, and I was among a team that designed AI virus and then designed the antidote for it. My team got the third place, and that was 2.5 years ago, before the AI models were even more advanced like that. And we have designed a silent file that collects data on your laptop till it reaches a specific point, and then I decide how I'm going to destroy your life. So whether to access the browser, get fake credit cards, spend this, and then get the IP, or even it's an agentic virus. And regarding the fraud cases right now, we're having an agentic browser. Not sure if everyone is familiar, but the agentic browser right now is not like Google Chrome anymore. Like right now, I just give a task to the browser. It goes check. Like for example, I literally yesterday, the day before yesterday, I uploaded this picture and told that browser, get every single face and the titles, go check your LinkedIn, give me a report about every single one, and according to my narrative, how I'm going to talk to every single one. And it took like 3 minutes or something, and then it found it out. But if we are using the agentic browsers in order to deceive, to analyze, I guess we're going to have a new problems. Like the older problems, we're fixing it, but this is how humanity works. We fix problems, we elevate, and also we have newer problems, and this is how it's going to work.
So never stop. It will never stop.
Exactly.
Okay, back to Dr. Mohammed. What technologies and governance models are essentials to ensure that connected urban systems remain trustworthy, resilient, and aligned with societal values?
Before I answer the question, I would like just to add some points in reflection to what Dr. Ayman has mentioned about projecting or, for example, values or principles of the emerging technology before or during adoption. I think why it's difficult to actually govern these companies and how they develop these technologies, because they are mainly companies driven by monetary value. So maybe in some of them, the human comes second and monetization comes first, unfortunately. But I think there are some models that we can project our principles and values into these international corporations or companies operating here, for example. One of them is through co-creation, with these companies. So critical systems should not be handled independently by these companies, and we should switch from being the consumer to being the maker or co-creator with these international corporations. This is very critical, and we have no choice anymore. Otherwise, we'll just be followers and consumers of these technologies, and we'll be forced to consume whatever values that these technologies enforce on us. So I think, maybe we should, I don't want to talk so much about it, but maybe we can discuss it later. I think co-creation is very critical, and there are many successful models for this. And I think Qatar, we have some success in this in some strategic projects, and this can be also generalized to many different projects. With regards to the question, I think there are some governmental models that I would like to highlight, including the data sovereignty. So it's very critical, for example, in currently and also in the future to know where the citizens' data are being stored. We use many different online services, and in the future there will be much more data gathered and used, maybe with our consent or without our consent. So how do we maintain control over our personal data? This probably should not be on the individual's level, it should be on the government's level. And there should be some kind of regulations. For example, the European Union, they enforce, as far as I know, some regulations on the European citizens to have all their data stored within the European Union. We could have similar things. I think in Qatar we have a similar thing, but there are many other services that don't store the data of the citizens of Qatar in Qatar, including WhatsApp, for example, Facebook, etc. I don't think they have any data centers here. So I think we should look into this much more seriously, as more usage of these systems will be prominent in the near future. So there should be some kind of framework. The other thing from technological standpoint is interoperability standards. So there will be many different systems in the future, including robots, drones, online digital systems, etc. So how do we ensure that these systems operate together and integrate correctly with the systems of the government, for example, to ensure safety and transparency of data and privacy? So this kind of framework currently, it's not there. So all these technologies are fragmented, and each one works independently. So how to build some kind of framework for the data exchange and data storage and data curation in general to ensure transparency? This is an open, probably, problem. The third point is auditability of data and transparency. So I think there's a lack of some kind of legal framework to audit the usage of data through these AI systems or AI companies. So many AI companies, they gather a lot of data, and maybe the users have some consent to say that, okay, I can give my data for the purpose of medical research or whatever. But how do we ensure that actually being used for that and was not sold to a third party, which usually the case, unfortunately. So auditability and transparency should be part of the governance model, I believe. But the implementation, I think I'll leave it to the people from the government to decide how to implement it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. And moving to the research, what is the most practical way for a university to translate research outputs into scalable smart city solutions? Because, as you know, Dr. Ayman, we want our research only published in different prestigious database, but we want it to be, we want the conclusion for this research to reach to the people, to reach to the ministries, to everyone, to the one who is interested. How we can do that?
So, Alhamdulillah, in Qatar now we started to see some more maturity in the research ecosystem. For the last 20 years, the government have invested heavily through Qatar National Research Fund, QRDI, to help universities, help the research ecosystem to build the right capacity, to recruit the best faculty and researchers, to help upskill students. So in the beginning, if you talk to me maybe 2005, around that time, people were more interested in research that would generate research papers that will just lead to their promotion or something like this. But this has changed significantly in the last 20 years. Now we have more and more research which includes direct engagement with the industry. We have much more partnership and collaboration with government entities. For us, the best way to ensure that some of these research outcomes go and help society and go as products, services, policies, is to really put that culture in the student, is to build this innovative culture in the students, in their education, in their extracurricular activity. So our students are innovators. Some of them will have startups, some of them will be organization entrepreneurs. They will go in their organization and change. And some of them will come up with great IP with their faculty, and that IP can be commercialized. So the culture part, building that fabric in the university, is for us the long-term sustainable way to have that influence. Another thing that in Qatar University we are working more and more to do is to facilitate when you have people who have ideas, when you have people who have research that has potential, we try to allow them to engage with commercial entities. We try to help them do licensing agreement. We try to allow them to and facilitate that engagement through networking events, through direct engagement, promoting their work. So it actually sees more adoption from end users. Another thing we try to do is to systematically work with entities in the government, in the private sector, to come up with problems that if we are managing to solve, these problems will lead to better solutions, better outcomes, better services, or better policy. We have experience with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, with Qatar Energy, with Media City, with many entities here in Qatar that I cannot enumerate all, but we try to have committees where we sit together, define problems, have many meetings where they explain to us the challenges, and if we get some funding or some data from these entities, we will be able to build things that will then lead to co-development, generation, and hopefully solve the real problem and taking our research outcomes to this is something we started. We are working even more as a university to become more open, to allow more entities to talk to us. We are having ideas of how to do knowledge transfer at a larger scale, where the university will receive more of the needs of the entities, and then will have the faculty engage with the entity through consultation, through research projects. So that's our goal. If we are to move to a place where the university will play a bigger role in the social economic development, and this is part of the mandate that the university leadership and what we are asked to do, we have to be more open, we have to work together with stakeholders, we have to build the culture in the university so we can get more ideas from just basic research to commercial outcomes, to policy outcomes, to real impact that can lead to adoption and solve real problems.
I echo your voice regarding the research publication. Before we consider it was so important for us the number of publications, but now at the university we focus on the impact of our publication on the society. And also in the form that we fill, we have to think about the high ends, how we can reach to the high end our results, our research results. Moving to Your Excellency, in one sentence, what is the most important governance action a nation or city should take to build public trust in smart societies?
Thank you, Doctor. I think just to comment on what was said on the R&D, we believe heavily in the R&D in the government sector, especially in the real estate sector, and it has to be part of the decision-making process moving forward. And we are already discussing an MOU with other universities currently as we speak. Similarly, we signed with GFBA, and we are discussing with other foundations. So all of the local and international universities that are providing either specific training or R&D, 100% we are all supportive of that initiatives, and will use it because it's the way forward. So I support what was said, and we are moving towards that, especially in the real estate sector. I think in one sentence, just to, again, what was said in terms of inclusion of all the members in the society, I think clear, transparent communication is the way forward. Us as a governmental officials has or must have clear vision, communicated properly, and the feedback collected from either the society, the businesses, the universities has to be clear, and we should work in open, transparent, safe environment. It's not somebody will be holding this against anyone. It should be like what we are discussing right now. The outcome of those discussions should be the way forward, and if it is tested, proven technology, should be adopted by the government. And I think the key is communication, transparent communication.
That is the word I was going to go back to it, which is coordination. The one that you mentioned at the beginning, it's so important in this phase. And also I want to ask this question regarding the, from international perspective, which area of cooperations can most strengthen Qatar-Japan partnership in smart society development?
Yes, thank you. It is very beneficial, I believe, to learn from the models and the practices of other countries. Indeed, Japan has been exchanging information and discussing the measures and efforts taken by each other. For example, in the countries of the European Union or ASEAN countries, ASEAN meaning Southeast Asian countries, and likewise, it will be beneficial for Japan to have a discussion and coordinate and exchange of information with the Qatar and other countries in this region. And I also like to point out that one of the topics which will be meaningful to exchange opinions about between Japan and Qatar is, from the perspective, Japanese perspective, the static data and dynamic data. That is something that we are discussing in Japan. Like the population, age group, or those static data, those are static data, but the transportation flow or people's move from city to another city, those dynamic data are also two different types of data as we are taking measures in building a smart city. So that is one of the challenge for Japan to promote smart cities. So that may be one example for Japan and Qatar to exchange information and discuss with each other. And another point is how to build partnerships, as some or many of participants discussed up to this moment. And the partnership among the relevant parties and stakeholders, including government and private sector. And it will, I believe, depends on the culture of each country. Japanese culture, Qatari culture, the European, Chinese, wherever it is. For example, how big the government should be. That's the very central part of the discussion, in my opinion. It's not the area of a smart city or artificial intelligence, but traditionally it is discussed so deep, so thoroughly in the area of social welfare. For example, European countries have a relatively bigger government, collecting higher taxes and distributing much social welfare benefit to citizens. Whereas, in my view, the United States has somewhat different. Federal government has a very limited role in social welfare, for example. And Japan, in my view, is in the middle of this. But it depends on the, again, human-centered approach, which means the taking into account, first of all, how the citizens and people related will think about it ahead of technology's benefit itself. So that's another beneficial topic which Japan and Qatar may discuss. And when it comes to the role of the government, for example, auditing, as Mr. Al-Sada talked about, I think the auditing is also important. But when it comes to auditing, say, what will happen if some authority, some party breach the regulation or standard as a result of auditing? Should there be some penalty, or should there be some follow-up to the breach of the regulation? Should that be the role of the government or not? Those are the probably topic of the discussion and maybe beneficial theme of discussion between Japan and Qatar.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Before we close, I'd like to invite all of you to answer this question and reflect on it in few sentences. What is the most important governance action should we take to build the smart cities, starting from right or left? Dr. Mohammed?
I think the most important action, in my opinion, is to build some kind of framework for data curation. AI will be at the essence of future smart cities for sure, and embodied intelligence, which is the embodiment of AI in many different types of systems, has to be regulated somehow. And at the heart of this is the data. So I think some kind of data curation framework is the essence that I would look for.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman.
From my point of view, first is like education, implementation, and the monetization. So first, we educate everyone. And as we said, policy and trust. So trust is when you are not fearing something and you're comfortable, right? And the opposite of fear is knowledge. It's not like bravery, it's knowledge. So once you educate on a larger scale, everyone with their own aspect of the business or the knowledge, that would make so much sense. Finally, after the political situation that is happening in the past 3 years, plus the integration of AI, I see sovereign AI in our nations, in our Arab nations, is the most important thing we could ever imagine. And the good news is, we have only from 0.5 to 1% of the content of the internet is Arabic, while our population is around 4%. Although that may sound like a bad news before, because we didn't have much data trained on AI, but also this is a great opportunity and good news because most of our data, 75% of our data, not trained on the general AI, which means we can build a really unique sovereign AI for our countries, and with our amazing culture that is absolutely unique. And with that, we can build sovereign AI that could help definitely our culture aside from the other parts of the world.
Policy used to, but need to be taken in action very quickly.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ayman?
So maybe I'll focus on the capacity building side. In order for us to have sovereign AI, in order for us to have a dream of being able to compete and being able to be competent in this area, we have to have the right skill force. So investing more in people, ensuring that people have the right skills in universities, people have the right skills outside universities, and upskilling program, that's very critical, but also enabling our startup and SMEs to be able also to be upskilled through partnership with universities, through sandboxes as discussed, to be able to test this technology, deploy it, have partnership with government entities that have data and forward-looking. So we are able as a society to have strong workforce and strong small and medium-sized businesses that will enable us to compete and be relevant in this global dialogue.
Thank you, Dr. Ayman. Your Excellency, Mr. Khalid.
I think the key word, or the sustainable future and sustainable governance, that is the key. How can we decide today on everything we discussed, and that should be sustainable for 50, 100 years to come, because this might be a foundation for that. So really, sustainability, reliability in the governance itself, that is the key for moving forward.
Thank you so much. Dr. Amar, would you like to say something or pass?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
No, I'm not so much to add on, but
We
yes.
just would need one action that it can be taken to build smart cities. What is your suggestion?
Well, for us citizens to talk about, not letting technology itself grow without any control, as I said. It is important to users meaning citizens or people, to be centered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fatma.
I think for this governance to work, it has to be a hybrid approach. It cannot be top-down and it cannot be bottom-up. It has to be inclusive and built on 4 key principles: transparency, trust, inclusiveness, and accountability.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite Dr. Amar for the final remark for this session.
Well, thank you very much. It was a very, very interesting discussions. Actually, I give myself some credit for just listening, not contributing. Those who work with me know it's very hard for me to keep myself not talking, but I try to do that as much as possible. It was very interesting discussion, very intriguing at some points, and there are always these big questions that we need to grapple with. I'm not very concerned about the details. We've been covering so many different points from different aspects, from different perspectives, and these are all important. But then I'm a bit more concerned with the bigger questions, to be honest with you. And this has to be even with the part where we talked about who should drive the whole thing. Should we be driven by technology? It's so dangerous to think even about it, especially if you consider the fact that technology is getting very smart and expanding exponentially. But then you ask your question, should we use technology to improve our life? Or technologists should decide how we do things? And it's very unfortunate that we're getting in a stage where the development, the advancement of technology is so huge, so large, to a point where technologists are not able to hold their horses. They know so much, they can do so much, but I'm afraid that we as humans, as individuals, as societies, are unable to keep up with this pace. So we find ourselves dragged in so many occasions. But then the question, the philosophical question is, where are we going with this? Where is this going to take us to? And I'm a believer in we, as human, will prevail, will be in control, and we will continue to be in control. But then I'm a bit concerned about the damage that can happen before we realize that we need to, and how much repair we can do at a later time. These are all important questions that I call them the bigger philosophical questions. Other things are the details that we can work out once we agree on the answers to the philosophical questions. Are we able to maintain the space? Are we as smart as the technology? Are we driving or are we driven by these technologies? These are just the important questions that we need to grapple with. We as an academic institution, we need to focus on this, pay attention to this, and put this under the microscope. And we are the place where everyone is getting there. And we are the place who produces the future leaders, the people who will be working, answering the questions and dealing with these challenges. So I understand that I get more questions than I give answers, but this is the reality of the thing. This is the thing that we need to grapple with and deal with. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our esteemed guests. It was very interesting discussions. I'm sure that every aspect can take much more time of discussions and ideas and explorations. But I hope that we can do this again at some other time. I hope Dr. Mohammed, Dr. Ayman, Dr. Saba, and others are keeping record of things that we need to deal with inside London University in the coming stages. Shukran.